here, but this is, again, grave danger for the people of Rojava. Erdogan, of course, is a Kurdophobe. He hates the Kurds. He hates any sort of progressive social reforms. He hates everything to do with Rojava. It's the antithesis of everything he stands for. Women, he wants them to go back into the kitchen, back into the bedroom. He doesn't regard them as equal to men. Merkel wants stability. She's retiring, of course, but she speaks on behalf of the German state. And I'll just add in passing there that it was Germany which supplied the tanks which rolled into Afrin to put down the Rojava Revolution in that part of the country. Macron, similarly, a neoliberal. Putin, of course, is on Assad's side. And these people actually are talking about crafting a constitution for the future of Syria. And what sort of future would that be? Well, Assad, as I say, has won. Assad is a totally brutal, corrupt dictator. The war has cost maybe 500,000 lives. He deliberately militarised the struggle, what began as a mass popular uprising against dictatorship. He militarised it deliberately. He also did his utmost to make sure that the FSA became what it is, which is basically a force of Islamists. His agenda for Syria is not the agenda that the Kurdish people want, that the Rojava Revolution wants or needs. Of course, the United States, headed up by our friend Donald, has been supporting the Kurds. The US Special Forces, aircraft, etc., have been doing that. They haven't been giving heavy weapons to any extent, of course, to the Kurds to defend themselves, but they are there. But I was just reminded of Lord Palmerston's words in a debate in the English Parliament, and they're often used in one form or another. We have no eternal allies and we have no perpetual enemies. Our interests are eternal and perpetual. And there's no doubt that what motivates the United States is not sympathy for the Rojava Revolution. In fact, I think it would be anathema to Donald Trump. They are there for their own interests. And of course, this is something that the PYD, that the Kurds were absolutely aware of. They knew that it was an alliance of convenience. They knew that eventually it would end. And in fact, Trump's been making a lot of noises over the past period about that they're going to pull out of Syria. Because ISIS also, as far as being a military force and not a terrorist force, a guerrilla-type terrorist force, is basically defeated. So he'll pull out. So the SDF, the Syrian Democratic Forces, have been attacked by some people on the left because they've been talking to Assad. They've been negotiating. And my position is, what choice do they have but to negotiate? Assad is their deadly enemy, well aware of that. They're well aware of that, but what choice basically do they have? Assad now has a tremendously powerful army. He also has the backing of Iran. He has the backing of Russia. What's he going to do? So the Rojava Revolution has to negotiate. As I say, ultra-left people around the world have criticised them, have said, how on earth can you do that? But they have no choice. What one American scholar said, and he's no leftist, he said, from a strategic perspective, a deal that gives the SDF areas, that's the Syrian Democratic Forces, areas of self-administration in exchange for Damascus getting access to resources such as water, wheat and oil makes sense. So he's looking at it from the perspective, if you like, of a bourgeois international relations scholar. But then he goes on to say, but the view from Damascus, this is from Assad, is that decentralisation is a tactic to buy time for the regime to gather its strength and to put it in a position eventually to reassert full control over all areas of Syria. So this basically is a deadly threat. And it's not just Assad, as I've been explaining, elaborating on, it's also Turkey. They're surrounded, they're ringed by enemies. Even the regime in Iraqi Kurdistan does not like them, does not want them. So it's a dire situation. Again, we can ask the question, do they have no friends but the mountains? And what I'd like to finish on is a more, I suppose, optimistic note. I remember back to 1968 in France, a Jewish person was going to be deported, and the response of millions of people who were leading a popular revolt, almost a revolution, was to say, we are all German Jews, and I think we have to say, we are all Kurds. The Kurds are our brothers and sisters. They're a shining light to the rest of the world. They're a shining light and an inspiration to people who want liberation all over the planet. Our duty is to back them to the hilt. International solidarity is vital, and international solidarity can really help, of this kind here, which was in Switzerland. So, comrades, I'll finish there. But just labour that point, that international solidarity is key to the success, to the future of the Kurdish people, to the future of the Rojava Revolution. Thank you.